everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are so excited for the council chat we have coming up. My name is Carolyn Crispin. I am the Chief Executive Officer for the Council for Military Spouse Clubs, and we are here to support, help, and give everything we possibly can to make military spouse clubs remain relevant and vibrant for the modern military spouse. So joining us today, one of the things we're working on through the month of October is how military spouse clubs can connect with their communities around them. And we thought it would be great fun to bring in some military spouse friendly nonprofits who work tirelessly to support us and our families. And we thought we would give them the opportunity to share some of what they do and talk to us a little bit about how maybe they can help military spouse clubs, military spouses, and how military spouse clubs can help them get their word out, meet their mission, and interact with our military families all around the world. So starting off, we have Yvonne Coombs from Operation Deploy Your Dress. We have Elizabeth Castro representing United Through Reading. We have Vernice Castillo, probably is how you say it, from Military Spouse Advocacy Network. And we have Jessica Strong from Blue Star Families. So I'm going to let them go ahead, and probably the best thing to do would be in order of the way I just introduced them. Let them talk a little bit more about themselves, about their organization, what your position is within that organization, how you got started in it, and if each of you would be willing to share a little bit about military spouse club experience you may have, and then if you can tell us a little bit about how you got into the job you're in or the passion behind it, just give us the lowdown, and so we can understand who you are and get to know you a little bit better. So Yvonne, I'll let you get started.
Yay, I get to go first.
Yay!
Well, first of all, I put my glasses on because I thought everybody on the panel was going to have glasses on, and I wanted to look smart today. But Jessica, you didn't put your glasses on for us, and you still look smart though. So I needed the extra help here. So
the extra love.
Anyway, my name is Yvonne Coombs. I am the CEO and co-founder of Operation Deploy Your Dress. Been a military spouse for 22 years. And I have a lot of experience with military spouses clubs because I started off volunteering with spouses clubs like a lot of us have done. So I've done, the scholarship chair, and I've done this chair and that chair, and then I was the president of a spouses club. And then with Operation Deploy Your Dress, we work very closely with spouses clubs. So I feel like I have probably run the whole gambit of experience with spouses clubs. Just quick synopsis of what Operation Deploy Your Dress is for those that don't know. Operation Deploy Your Dress is a military spouse founded nonprofit. We collect gently used and new formal attire, and we give it to military families, military ID card holders, and dependents for free to help. The original intent was to help get them to the military ball, to help boost the attendance at military ball, uphold the traditions that take place at military ball, and just, help build that camaraderie that takes place at the military balls. We also now give to military children going to proms, homecomings, any kind of special event that you need a formal dress, we've got you covered. So we have 13 shops around the country, one in Germany, and that's where the military spouses clubs come into play for us. When we first started, you asked how to tell how we got into our positions. I was the last one standing forward when they said, "Who wants to be the CEO?" Everybody else stepped back. So that's how I got into my position. This was an accidental thing that we created. We're so very proud of it and so excited to have it, but it's not what we originally intended to do. We thought this was going to be a 2-day event. We'd collect a couple hundred dresses, give them away on Fort Bliss, out of the community center, and then go about our daily lives after that. And that was in December of 2015. And my daily life has not been the same since. So we once we realized that this wasn't going to go away, the dresses were going to continue to multiply like rabbits, and we were going to continue to be able to support military families all over the country and all over the world, we realized that we needed to find a way to do it because 5 military spouses couldn't do it alone. And so that's when we reached out to the military spouses clubs. We first reached out to the spouses club on Fort Bliss and said, hey, we need a home. Can you help us? And they gave us a place to land. They took us under their umbrella, made us a program that they operate, or that they offer to the community. It just made sense. That's what military spouses clubs, in my opinion, that's what they exist for, is to support their military community that they're in. And that's what we were trying to do, is support the military community. So it just made sense for us to reach out and say, hey, can you give us a place to land? They did. It worked. I moved to Fort Eustis. We said, let's see if this will work again. Reached out to the spouses club there, said, we've got this program that we started at Fort Bliss. Would you like it? And they said, yep, let's give it a shot. Went to Fort Eustis, worked there, and it just kept going from there. So all 13 of our shops at one time or another have been operated under the spouses club. We have now, as co-founders and as a national board, dealt with over 40 boards, just with boards changing over and stuff, with over 40 boards during our 6 years of doing this. One of the shops now runs out of a Salvation Army, and that's the shop here in Colorado Springs, but all the other 12 shops still run under the Spouses Club, in the Spouses Club's footprint, on the installation in which we are operating on. So I don't know, did I answer all of your questions?
Yes, I think you did. Thank you, Mom. Appreciate it. Okay, Elizabeth, can you step in and give us a rundown?
Hello, everybody. And I have to say that I have benefited from the Operation Deploy Your Dress on more than one occasion. So I want to thank Yvonne and her team and all the spouses that actually worked so hard to put this together. I've only gone to the pop-up events, which I think are amazing. So thank you, Yvonne. Yeah, great dresses. And actually, one of the dresses I'm wearing to one of the Marine Corps balls this year is going to be from Operation Deploy Your Dress. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to tag you for sure on that one. So Elizabeth Castro here. I am a 28-year career educator. I spent 26 years in the classroom, and about last year and a half, almost 2 years, I'm at DODEA headquarters now. I am I'm the program analyst for the Curriculum and Instruction Division. So I get to work with all the subject matter experts, pre-K through 12, all content areas. And so even though I'm not in the classroom, I'm still making an impact in education, but now, not just CONUS, but OCONUS in the Pacific and in Europe. So it's been a lot of fun, huge learning curve, definitely something different out of my comfort zone, but it's been fun. Military spouse, 22, almost 23 years, 22 plus years. Marine Corps here, absolutely love it. I am on the Literacy Advisory Council for United Through Reading, and Berenice is also on the council with me, so we serve on the council together. I was introduced, we as a family were introduced through United Through Reading when my husband was deployed on the MEU, and they were offering it on the ship. And Sam and I are big readers. We love to read. And even before we got involved with United Through Reading, when I was a first grade teacher in California with Monterey Peninsula School District, there's Marines that were at the Defense Language Institute that were sitting and waiting for their security clearance. So they put them in this platoon called Casuals Platoon, right? Which is not casual. But Sam said, we have to do something with these Marines. They're just sitting around. We got to do something. And I was like, you know what? For, Read Across America, why don't you bring some Marines over? I'll make sure it's okay. And we can put the Marines into classrooms and they can read to kids for Read Across America. And so just having the Marine in a uniform with a Dr. Seuss hat on, reading to kids was so much fun. It turned out great that we ended up doing it a couple more times throughout the year, not just for Read Across America. So then when he was on the ship, he was like, this is amazing. Like, I can read to my boys that are back in Camp Lejeune, and I can still have that connection with them. And so he then started to drag other service members to they had it set up. So they'll do a setup, but on the ship where they can actually go in and record. And then at that time, it was the DVD and the book is then mailed to you. And then I would pop up. So we still have those DVDs. We still have those books, right? Saved for the boys. And so last summer of, I think it was 2021 when things were kind of opening back up, and they did a small tribute to military families here in DC at the Martin Luther King Library. And I was talking to Sally, and she said, you need to be on our literacy advisory council. Will you do that? And I said, sure. I was like, just send me whatever it is I need to do to sign up, and I'll help. And so far it's been interesting. We've met a couple of times. We just got a new CEO, so waiting to see what direction, and excited about where United the Reading is going to go with the new CEO and all the new projects. But yes, that's how we got involved. And then last year, my husband and I recorded a podcast. United the Reading is starting these podcast seasons. So season 1 was 3 episodes, and I talked about how reading to your children, how that's important, and how building those relationships and connection with their dad or their mom or their, whoever it is that's deployed. And my husband read Where the Wild Things Are, and so they integrated him reading the story out loud with the podcast, and he does great voices. So it's just been fun. And I just enjoy it. And so for me, it was the perfect combination as an educator and a military spouse. This United Through Reading was just made in heaven. So I'm having fun. I enjoy it. And I love seeing the faces on the kids when they get to see their parent read to them. I think I answered all your questions, because I think you're going to ask some more questions a little bit later, right?
Yes, ma'am. We certainly are. Okay. So I think I pronounced your name wrong earlier. So Venice is up next. Is that right?
It's actually Berenice.
Berenice.
No,
okay.
You were good. Yeah,
I keep trying.
It was perfect. You don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Before I give a little bit of my background, I just want to say thank you for doing this. It's not often that us as a nonprofit have the opportunity to talk to spouses clubs and talk to them about what we're trying to do to build those relationships, to make them stronger, and of course support the community. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for having us. And I am the founder and CEO of Military Spouse Advocacy Network, which I'll be referring as MSAN. MSAN is a nonprofit that I started in 2014 out of the need of what I experienced when I was a brand new spouse 22 plus years ago. I am an immigrant from Mexico, came to the United States when I was 16, and I had to leave my family and friends behind. I had to learn a new language. I was feeling out of place. I was feeling like I didn't have the community. A few years later, when I was 24, I married my husband. And guess what? Once again, I had to leave my family behind, my friends behind, learn a different language. And once again, I was feeling out of place with no community. I wish I had someone to mentor me. I wish I had someone that I could rely on and show me what this was all about. And that's where the passion grew on me to become a volunteer and mentor other military spouses, to help them with the lifestyle, to not so much to teach them, but to guide them and hold their hand and say, hey, you're not alone. I'm here. This is your community. And it grew and it grew and it grew. And I started developing some programs that were adopted by the Air Force. I'm an Air Force spouse. And out of that, it was like, okay, let's do a nonprofit. Let's create a mentorship program 24/7. And that's exactly what we focus on. We focus on bringing peer-to-peer mentorship to military spouses, especially the brand new military spouse, the youngest community, the ones that will take our place one day or very soon. And we got to make sure that we are teaching them the way and helping them to understand the lifestyle. This is a completely different generation compared to when I joined the military. So we got to be sure that we speak their language. We got to make sure that we show them what they need and provide them what they're looking for. So that's what MSAN does. We provide peer-to-peer mentorship support 24/7. We link them to their local communities. All the brand new spouses that are coming into the military, we have an official collaboration with the Air Force and Space Force. So every Thursday during basic training, we meet around 175 to 200 brand new military spouses. We provide them the opportunity to connect with a mentor, and we also connect them to their installation. Where are they going next? And one of those is connecting them to their spouses clubs. So we work with a lot of them. If you're watching this video, we're not collaborating with you yet, get a hold of me so I can tell you what we can do. We talk to spouses, brand new spouses about their clubs. We encourage them to participate and be part of them because there's so many advantages to be part of that because that's your community. So that's a way how we also connect them to the local community and the spouses clubs. I serve in clubs for many, many years, different positions as well. So I have a special place in my heart for clubs because I was part of them. I remember the good of bringing something nice to the community and the spouses being part of the club. I mean, that's work. We work hard and we do it with a passion. We share the same dedication. So I look forward to working with everybody, answering more questions. But bottom line, that's what we do: peer-to-peer mentorship and connection to the community.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Up next, we have Jessica from Blue Star Family.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so delighted to be a part of this conversation and hear from all of these other experienced, seasoned, wonderful military spouses. I have only been affiliated with the military for about 16 years when I married my Army husband. Also, we have a lovely diversity of different branches here, which I think is great. So we've been married for 16 years, lots of moves and such. I am the Senior Director of Applied Research at Blue Star Family. So I do, if you've heard of any of the surveys that Blue Star Families does, such as the Military Family Lifestyle Survey, I am the face behind that and some of the other research that we do. I came to Blue Star Families as a happy accident of military life. I was an assistant professor of social work on the tenure track, and we were going to homestead and stay at this one dude at Fort Bragg, because Fort Bragg is the center of all things
Airborne.
paratrooper, airborne.
That's right.
So we were going to stay there for the duration of his career, and the Army had other ideas. So at about a month before I was eligible for tenure, we PCS to a different location. I had to leave the tenure track. So that, as many other military spouses have experienced, is a little bit of a setback to your identity. You've invested so much time and energy into this profession or this position or this thing that you are going to do, and then you no longer have that thing. So when we PCS, I was looking around for different volunteer opportunities because I went from more than half of our family's income to unemployment, which again, I know many of you are familiar with that circumstance. So as I was looking around for different volunteer opportunities, Blue Star Families was one of those opportunities that came up. And they just happened to have a consultant position open in research. And I went, hey, I'm a military spouse. I research military families as an academic. I could do this. So that's what started me with Blue Star Families and leading some of the research that we are working on that touches all parts of military family life. So Blue Star Families does a lot of research, but we do a lot more than that as well. We also have a whole bunch of different programs that can support military families to build connections in the communities in which they live. We know most of us don't live on installations. We live out in civilian communities. So the major goal that Blue Star Families has is building those connections between military families and the civilian communities where they live. So we have programs. We have 12 on-the-ground physical chapters all across the United States, with another one coming early in 2023 and hopefully more on the horizon. So we do programs, we have chapters, we do research, all to build those communities of support.
Wonderful. All right, that sounds great. So now what I'd like to do is just kind of ask you, all four of you, essentially the same question, because we're just as an organization that's really trying to help support and develop military spouse clubs at all the installations around the world, we are always looking for great ways to explore new avenues for these clubs so that they can change with the times and stay vibrant within their communities. And so we thought the four of you guys would be excellent folks to ask. If you have any advice on ways that military spouse clubs on the ground and all these different installations, how can they better connect or support your organizations? Because in turn, that helps them and their installation themselves. So I don't know if anybody wants to go first. I hate to always make Yvonne go first just because she started. Yeah, Elizabeth can go. There you go.
Yeah, I'll start. So, you know, there's just so many, now that everybody's connected to the internet, you just can go to the website, right? Which is really, really helpful. So if you go to unitedthroughreading.org and you go there, you can go to volunteer or contact or reach out. And you can reach out to one of the program managers, and they also have a bunch of program coordinators. They have also some that have their specific for the different branches, and then they have some on the East Coast and the West Coast. And if you go to their website, though, a lot of times they'll have a map, and it'll show you where they have different story stations, and there's different ways that you can connect. So sometimes there's an embedded story station, like with a military unit, and then sometimes there's an actual story station, like at the base library. So you can go to the library and they have a room set up, and you can connect with United Through Reading that way. There's also, they do pop-up story stations for different events. And that's when you would connect with the program manager or program coordinator, and then they would coordinate with whatever event you have going on, and then they can show up for your families. Now, they launched this past year their mobile story station, and they have a recording studio on the go. And it's this big van, and it's beautiful, and I got to check the inside of it out, and they've got books, and you sit in this comfy big chair, and you read a book, and it's recorded right there on the go. And I think just recently here on the East Coast, they did a like on the road, right? Like a road trip down to all of the different military installations, all the way down to Camp Lejeune. And I want to say, I don't know if they got down to South Carolina or not. I would be lying if I said I knew, but they showed up. And I know from recently talking to Anna Clark, who's one of the program coordinators, she drives the big van, and she has been reaching out to a lot of the spouse clubs here in the National Capital Region and saying, hey, I'm here. This is what we have to offer. Let me know how we can work together, how we can collaborate. Let me come to your pre-deployment brief. Let me come to your spouse club meeting. Let me show your spouses what everything that United Through Reading has to offer for you and your family and how it works. And she's amazing. She's kind of got like a little bit of like red hair. I call her Miss Frizzle because she's like the magic school bus, right? She drives this big bus around loaded with books, right? So I told her she needs to get the Miss Frizzle outfits, so like, you know, the solar system and right. And so it's just a lot of fun. She's been doing events all up and down the East Coast recently. But I think that the mobile story station has really helped get the word out, and the fact that, we shouldn't wait for the spouse clubs to reach out to us. But I think the spouse club, we need to get out to the spouse clubs and say, hey, we're here. How can we help? How can we partner up? And then then from that, a partnership forms, and then all kinds of ideas can come from that. But definitely go online, say, hey, I need you to come to this base, or I need you, what can you do? There's somewhere nearby, but there is a map, and then there's like pin drops, and it shows where they're at. But if you still don't know, then just reach out. You can reach out to me, and I can put you in touch with somebody. But if you go to their website, you'll definitely find a way to get in touch with somebody and have them come to you.
Wonderful. That sounds amazing. That would be so much fun to have them rock up to a big fundraiser you were doing or something, and all these families are there. That would be great. Okay. I can't remember who else jumped in to hold up their hand. Was it? Okay, yeah, go ahead, Bernice. She can.
I was trying.
Yeah, there you go.
I was trying to unmute. There you go. So one of the things that can be done, I think that the spouses clubs can partner in an official capacity with nonprofits. And what I mean by official capacities is the more that we get the word out that the spouses clubs are working with local communities, nonprofit organizations. A lot of the times the spouses feel like they can trust the club because it's not coming from an official resource. Not because you're at the installation doesn't mean that you're gonna go and tell someone and somebody's gonna get in trouble. And a lot of the times, especially younger spouses, are hesitate to participate on anything that is military installation related because they're afraid of somebody getting in trouble, or they're afraid that they don't know what that is. So if we show military spouses that the spouses clubs are working with those nonprofits that those spouses trust, they're gonna feel like, okay, well then they're working together, they have that kind of relationship, that kind of bond, then I can trust them. And if we can help to educate those spouses about who the spouses clubs are, what they do, what is their mission, it will help a lot that we provide this information up front, even before they arrive to their installation. This is something that within MSAN, I mean, talking what we can do as MSAN can be done. We can start talking to spouses as brand new, or even we also help seasoned spouses and retiree spouses. But if they want to know who is in their local community, who are the clubs, what are they doing, we can help educate ahead of time. I always tell everybody, we have to be proactive, not reactive. So the more that we educate people, the more that we get them excited, the more that we provide the knowledge, I guarantee you that once they get to their installation, they feel more comfortable in wanting to participate and be part of the clubs, because ahead of time, your mentor already talked to you about it. Your mentor already got you excited and you want to be part of it. And this is what they have available. And you can volunteer, you can be part of it. So to me, education is number one when it comes to educating spouses about what the spouses clubs are doing. But in order for us to be able to support the clubs in a way where we are communicating with the younger community is, like I said, showing relationships. I think that many of you know that the younger generation is all about what are they doing for the community? What are they doing for the world? They want to see impact. They just don't want to know that you are doing something nice. They want to see it. So if we can show them that there's a relationship that is meaningful, that we want to do something for our local communities, that we want to do something for our military families, then they want to be part of it, because now you're showing them what we are doing together, not just as spouses clubs, not just as an installation, but all of us collaborating and working together.
I think that's amazing. I think at the council level, we've been spending a lot of time chatting about ways we can help military spouse clubs continue, because some of them are struggling. And
yes.
I believe the biggest problem they're having is they're not attracting the younger spouses as they are getting started. And so having these clubs partner with you when your mission is all about those peer-to-peer relationships with the younger spouses could really, really benefit those clubs, and grabbing folks from all over to come together to really work towards the common goal. And plus, when you're connecting these people, they make they feel a part of the community. They feel a part of an organization, and they're more willing to interact. So that's amazing. So thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. Okay, Yvonne, you want to go next?
Yes, because I didn't have to go first.
There you go.
I think really just to go off of what all of you guys are saying, spouses clubs, at least I know in the Army world, spouses clubs are most, if not all of them now, are transitioning from that officer spouses club and enlisted spouses club to an all ranks spouses club. And to, like Vernice was saying, to have that, that partnership with something like MSAN, that they're able to show that they have the interest of that demographic in mind. With us, like I said, all of our shops have been with spouses clubs, and to get a dress from us, it can't be the fact that they say you have to be a member of the Spouses Club to come and get a dress. It's open for everybody. So the Spouses Club is doing this service back for their community. It doesn't matter that you didn't pay your dues to join their club, but people are also able to come in, and we always encourage them in the shops. This is your shop. This is your club shop. Hang your flyers up. Let them see what you're doing in your club while they're in there. Hang it in the dressing room while they're changing into a dress. Maybe they'll see that you have this event going on or that event going on, But the old school way of thinking that a monthly luncheon is going to draw people into your club is done. Like, that's not going to, because I'm sorry, but a lot of younger spouses, one, don't want to pay $20 to go to a luncheon, or two, can't pay $20 to go to a luncheon. But if they see these other ways that they can plug into a club, like going and volunteering at an Operation Deploy Your Dress, maybe hooking up with an MSAN mentor and later on being a mentor because that's how they were welcomed into a club and into a community, volunteering with a United Through Reading type thing, getting information through a Blue Star Families, through one of their services or their resources that they're putting out, or participating in one of their surveys and getting the information out that way. When they see these other things that the Spouses Clubs can be doing to give back to them, it's not going to be just about Ladies Who Lunch and a luncheon. It's going to be so much more than that. And that's what they have to do. They have to show that they're more than a monthly luncheon, because that's not what's going to get this new generation of military spouse through their door.
Yeah, and it's not just, like you said, it's not just about a luncheon, but it's also not just about social. There's so much philanthropic effort behind coming together as a Spouses Club, and the way you can serve your community, even if it's just fundraising and giving it back away again. But all of you guys and all of your nonprofits out there offer so many other ways to give back that don't have to necessarily mean you got to come up with a fundraiser and put it together. You can do it just through your time or for your effort, or sending out an email, or forwarding, or liking a post on Facebook will get people out there. So there are ways to contribute that don't mean you have to, sell cupcakes behind a table. So
well, and for an Operation Deploy Your Dress that's run under a Spouses Club, when the clubs that we deal with that truly understand that, yes, we may not have sold these dresses and brought money in to turn around and give back out again, but we gave away, 4,000 free dresses into our community that year, which we always say at a low end estimate, $100 a dress. That's $40,000 that we gave back to our community. Whether just because it wasn't in a scholarship doesn't mean that that Spouses Club didn't give back to their community in a way. So when those Spouses Clubs are able to see things differently and not try to operate as they've always done, but hoping to do something different, that's when they're really going to connect. That's when they're going to be able to really attract who they're trying to attract. And it's also, it may be our generation of military spouse that's the president of the club, but they have to really reach out to everybody, all spouses, all levels, all ages, everything, and try to pull them in and get their ideas and get their participation, because that's the only way that they're going to expand. We can't, if not, it is going to be this dying thing in the military.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain amount of rebranding that's needs to happen. And like Yvonne, like you were saying, it's not Ladies Who Lunch, but how do we get that out there? How do we share that information with all these younger spouses, with folks, and diversify the clubs to the point that it mirrors the diversification on your installation? Let's reach out all the different cultures and all the different communities and all the different ranks and everything, so that we can really have a club that represents the community. And the side note is you get to find all sorts of great friends. So that's one of the reasons why we're pushing this all along. Okay, so Jessica, you've been waiting very patiently. Go ahead.
I have no problem being the last person. Not a problem at all. Okay. So don't feel bad about that. But there are two things that you picked up on there that I think that were points that I wanted to emphasize. That I think one of the one of the ways forward for spouses clubs is diversifying. The new generation of spouses is so much more diverse than previous generations have been, and it continues to diversify in so many different ways. So moving beyond old paradigms into trying new activities and new things that will engage a different array of people than you would have engaged before. And some of those things are activities that you can do, and Blue Star Families can help with some of those activities. So we have a bunch of programs, which I mentioned, but also different activities that you can participate in that spouses clubs can take advantage of. Things like Blue Star Museums that offers free entry into museums across the country for military families, arranging a museum visit for families and the installation to introduce them not only to this benefit that's available to them, but also to create those opportunities for connection, like you were saying, Carolyn, that it's not just about giving back, that's also part of it, but it's also about building those connections with one another. And that's a theme that I think all of us have emphasized, is that when we move to a new place, or when we were introduced to military life, like, we didn't have that connection. We didn't feel that sense of belonging. We didn't know what this life was about. So that's a place that clubs can really participate and offer those opportunities for connection through things like museums, or our Blue Star Summer Activities program, which has sort of like virtual summer camp events for families to participate in, or Blue Star Outdoors, or some of our caregiver programs that are aimed at military family caregivers. Think ways to connect with one another, or offering some of the perks that we have, that Blue Star Families has, as a way to help improve health and wellness for all the members of the Spouses Club. Things like free headspace, or Spiritune, or access to Thrive Market, other ways to engage new members and reinvigorate the members that you currently have. So we've got programs and perks that can help re-engage the population. Another thought that I have is a way for spouses clubs to engage is setting up a Welcome Week event. Blue Star Families has started launching this event called Welcome Week, I think it's the last week in September each year, in order to welcome all the new military families that have moved to a community over the past year. We know military families are very mobile, and there may be like 500,000 who move every year to a new community. And once we get to that community, then we have to build all those connections. And it takes a while to develop, where are you going to go to get your haircut? Where are you going to go to get your dog groomed? All of those things. We want to decrease the amount of time it takes to build those connections in your community by setting up activities and events to get you connected to other people. And spouses clubs are a great way to do that. So the last week in September, there are all these activities. It could be a baseball game, it could be a bowling league, it could be a Starbucks coffee connect, just a way to welcome the new families to your community and engage with them, just so to help them build those connections and build that belonging.
So, Jessica, is there a way, like, if you were having Welcome Week, for example, and the Spouses Club that's already in existence wants to somehow connect with you to set up a table to discuss at an event that you're hosting, or if they want to, have a sign up event in conjunction with something that you're hosting, is that something that's allowed? Is it encouraged? How does that work?
Encouraged, 100%. We want to engage not only the military community, but also the civilian community to reach out and welcome these new military families and veteran families. If you're transitioning out of the military, welcoming those veteran families to the community. So we have engaged with schools to send a welcome letter out to new military families to their area. It could take all kinds of different shapes and be creative and innovative and imaginative with it, but definitely encouraged.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to do that and they don't have, you said you have 13 chapters, I think, and they don't have a chapter near them, would they reach out to like the national headquarters and try to do something that way?
Yeah, we can still do that. We do have these on the ground chapters all across the community, but we also have volunteers that are in other locations that set up events and activities there too. Like a Starbucks Coffee Connects are a really common one, that are set up in places that don't have a chapter, but still have a military presence and still have people, Blue Star Families volunteers who want to give back. So regardless of whether it's in a chapter location or overseas, there's an opportunity to set up an event. I think Elizabeth did one, right?
So I left San Antonio after I had set up the Blue Star Families chapter in San Antonio. And, San Antonio, as Bernice knows, is big, right? And we were doing great things. And then I was teaching full time. It was a little busy. But then I passed it on to somebody else, and they took it and they ran with it, and it was amazing. I got to Okinawa, and I was like, there's no chapter here. I think I had connected with Trisha Ross, and I saw her today, and Navy spouse, and I said, how can we get a chapter here? And so there was just so much red tape to do one overseas. But I did set up a military spouse Appreciation Day event in the Starbucks in Japan, and with my Google Translate and the manager, and I explained to him what I wanted to do. I know I was determined that I was going to try to do something for military spouses in Okinawa, Japan. So I went there and explained to him what I was trying to do, and he said, oh, okay. And then Blue Star Families gave me, some funds to get some gift cards. And then the different gift shops that, spouse clubs work with in Okinawa, they were like, I reached out to them and I was like, hey, do you want to donate anything to add to these swag bags for military spouses? And some of them did. And so they were like, well, what is this? What is Blue Star Families? And so it kind of got them to kind of more of awareness of what Blue Star Families does. And I set up in that shopping mall at that Blue Star Families. And I had my sons with me, and I said, I need you to go out into the mall, and I need you, because it was a really big Starbucks and we're kind of in the back in this big area. I said, go and grab military spouses in the mall and tell them to come and get some free stuff. And my son was like, what? How am I going to know who are military spouses? I said, we are in Japan. Most, I said, you can tell who is a military family in this mall. And so, my sons are my biggest helpers. They're good workers. And so they started bringing spouses out, and then some spouse told another spouse and told another spouse. And I was able to give away like 20 plus Blue Star Family swag bags, yes, with gift cards and stuff from the gift shops that support the military community and the local community there in Okinawa. So where there's a will, there is a way, right? And so I think you just have to kind of get creative. I even did one at a park in Okinawa and gave out beach balls and frisbees and told families, hey, come out to the park and I'm going to give you some free stuff. So I think it's just having to ask, right? And not be afraid to be told no, because that's going to happen, and be okay with it, right? And then just move on. Okay, I'm going to ask somebody else then. But that was so much fun. It was just really, I just had to get, and Jessica knows I had to get really creative with that one. But, everybody here has said exactly what is true. Military spouses just want to belong. And I think, empowering our military spouses, especially the next generation, right? Because it's changing. Things are changing. The makeup of military families is changing. The challenges are different. We're in a different world, and I think we need that the spouse clubs and all the nonprofits need to evolve and pivot and make that change with it to stay relevant, right? Because I think there still is a need for spouse clubs. There's a need to belong, and I think this generation, they want to be involved. They want to make an impact, but they're just so eager to learn and to grow, and they have amazing ideas. So I think this is so good that we're combining them. I think spouse clubs sometimes are like, oh no, don't join the spouse club. No, I think it's good. I think it's what you make of it. And I think it's what you put into it is as much as you get back. So it's a two-way, it's a two-way relationship. I don't think you should go to the spouse club and expect for it to fill you up completely. I think you need to be able to also give back.
Yeah, Elizabeth, that's great. That's some great comments there. And just to follow up what you had said earlier, if somebody wants to do an event at their installation and have United Through Reading come, they go to the website to contact whomever and to say, hey, we're having this event. How can we set something up? Is that, I'm just trying to confirm that that's correct.
Okay, I was muted. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And I will drop some of the links for United Through Reading in the chat if that's okay. And that's
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That sounds great. Okay. So Venisi, when a spouses club is out there and they're like, wow, that advocacy network sounds amazing, I want to connect with them. How do they do that? What is their first step?
Hey, I'm here. So I'm going to drop my email address here in the chat, and everybody's welcome to get a hold of me, and we can start the conversations, and I'll bring the people that need to be part of that conversation. I also have a LinkedIn account that people can connect with me as well. The website, contact us. But I think if they want to reach out directly to me and ask questions and start the conversation, hey, I'm available, and I'm more than flexible to start those conversations. I'm all excited about it.
Okay, awesome. And so if somebody wants to do that, you said that you have to have a formal partnership. Can you explain exactly what someone would do to make that happen?
Yeah, and actually what I mean by official is not that we have to sign a document. Official means that is the picture that we gotta show. When we are supporting each other missions, when we are working together in different, I don't know if it's going to be a virtual event, it can be as education, it can be anything, but we got to show that we're working together. We also have community partners, which is signing an MOU so that we can have a press release, so that we can have you on our website, so that we can promote everything that the clubs are doing. But if they don't want to sign an MOU, we still work with other nonprofits and of course the spouses clubs in this situation without having to sign something official if they don't want to do it. But the more official that we do it, and like I said, the more that we show the younger generation, like we all are saying, how are we working together? How can we bring them to be part of it and be part of the same impact that we are creating in our community? Something that we're seeing is that the brand new spouses are coming to MSAN to ask for mentorship. A year later or two, they become mentors because they love so much what they're doing that now they want to do it for others. So it's about pay it forward. It's all about being part of it. So now we have what we call a mentor in training. Because probably a 20-year-old doesn't have the same experience that we have to be able to mentor other military spouses. But we don't want to discourage them. We want them to be part of it. So we put them on a 6-month training with an experienced mentor. We bring them under their wing and they train them to become mentors. So we also train them and we also bring all that stuff to them because we don't want them to be discouraged. Now they want to be part of it. So every time that you bring someone and they feel like they belong and they are part of the mission, they want to do everything that it takes to give back and be part of it.
Wonderful. All right, that sounds great. So Yvonne, if a Air Force base in Ohio says, hey, I want to do that deploy your dress thing, what do they do? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, we are happy to work with Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine, Space Force, anybody. We are happy to work with everybody. All they do is they reach out to us. If you go to our website, there's ways to contact us. You reach out to us and say, hey, we're interested. And we just start the conversation, letting them know what needs to be done and, what space they need, things like that, and just go through the process from there. So it's a pretty easy process, and a lot of time the biggest thing is really just finding the space on an installation. But yeah, we are on all Army installations right now, or the Army side of Air Force installations right now, because we were Army spouses that started it, and that's where our contacts are. But that doesn't mean that that's all that we want to do as Army. We are happy to work. We've given to all branches of service, and we're happy to explore, getting into other services installations as well.
So do spouses clubs need to have some sort of startup funding set aside to have you come?
Yeah, and really it depends on what their funding is, on what they're able to do with it. We learned how to build shops on a pretty low budget. I mean, we are military spouses. We know how to set up a home on a low budget. We can set up a shop on a low budget as well, but it does take a little bit of money. It's usually $1,500 to $2,000 to set up a shop. Give or take, depending on what kind of space they're using and what kind of pizzazz they want to put in it. But like I said, we can make it look really nice, help them give them ideas to make it look really nice on a pretty low budget. But it doesn't cost the Spouses Club a lot of money, again, to have that impact that a shop can have. So I think once Spouses Clubs are able to get around that, a lot of times Spouses Clubs work hard to raise the money that they have, so they kind of hang on to it maybe sometimes a little too tight, instead of realizing, hey, I can have this huge splash over here, or give $2,000 for a scholarship over here. Once they're really able to see how far that money can really go, whenever you really look at the big picture, is when we've had some of the most successful partnerships.
Have you had any experience with shops opening up and then all of a sudden not having enough volunteers to run it or man
Never.
it or anything? Okay. So
Never.
is there a number that a club saying, I think we should do this, we need to come up with this many man hours a week or a month or whatever?
So we say that a shop needs to be open. We like for them to be open at least one day a week and one night or weekend a month. They can be open more than that, but we want at least the minimum of that. We've always prided ourselves on the fact that we want to be the most fun place to volunteer on a military installation. And I think we're pretty good at doing that. I mean, who doesn't like playing human Barbie with people? So and it's fun. If we've had volunteers that they don't want to help somebody pick out a dress, but they sure as heck want to organize and color code the dresses. So they'll go and do that. We have other spouses who I'm not a people person, but I want to be involved, and they'll go into the back room and they'll process the donations as they come through. There really is something for everybody. There's somebody who will come in and clean the shop after hours because they love to clean and they love everything about Operation Deploy Your Dress, but they don't want to pick out dresses for somebody, so you don't have to be that person that wants to play human Barbie with people, but you can, it's just fun, just being in one of those shops, and the atmosphere in there and the camaraderie that's built whenever you have a group of women just, getting excited and, hey, try this one on. Nope, try this one on, and stuff like that. It's fun. And so because of that, our shops rarely, if ever, have had a hard time getting volunteers. Our spouses clubs will say that is the first position that they always have filled. We've had spouses clubs that are like, we don't know if we're going to have a club this year. We don't have anybody on the board except for Operation Deploy Your Dress. They want to go run a dress shop, but they don't want to be the president. They don't want to organize luncheons. They don't want to do this, but they want to go play with dresses, So volunteering is never going to, I don't want to jinx myself. I'm knocking on wood right now. I don't see volunteering ever being a huge issue. Getting the dresses is never going to be a huge issue. People want to give their dresses to us. Like I said, they multiply like rabbits. They want to give their dresses to us. So it's just a matter of keeping that line of communication open between the organization, which in this case is Operation Deploy Your Dress, and the Spouses Club, and making sure that everybody knows that we're all working for a common goal. This isn't, Operation Deploy Your Dress trying to raise our status off the back of the Spouses Club. We really are trying to work together with Spouses Clubs in order to bring this service to their community.
Have you ever, this is just a side comment, have you ever thought about doing like cummerbunds and bow ties and stuff for the male spouses?
So we actually do get some men's suits, some men's tuxedos and stuff like that. And when we do, we deploy them. We just don't get them very often.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, so it looks like we only have about 5 minutes left. Does anybody have any final thing they want to jump in there and say that they didn't get a chance to say? Anything you want to talk about is fine. Go, Jessica. You're up.
So I would be remiss as the Senior Director of Applied Research if I didn't use this opportunity to ask for those of you who are civically minded and who want to give back to use some of the time that you give back to take surveys from Blue Star families and other organizations who are working in this space, because that little bit, I know it takes a little time to fill them out, understand that, but consider that as time volunteered that you can volunteer from the comfort of your home or your son's soccer game or your daughter's jujitsu class where you're sitting and waiting anyway. But that time that you spend really does have an exponential impact on some of the work that we are able to do and the programs that we're able to put together as a result of knowing what are the issues and what are the things that are impacting people and how are our military families changing and evolving as time goes on. We talked a little bit about how spouse clubs are diversifying. Our military families are doing the same. So being able to understand what those changing needs are and those issues are is helpful for the entire space. So that's how I would request some support for Blue Star families and for the space as a whole.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that we cannot allow spouses clubs to go away because we are not spreading the word. We got to make sure that we are sharing our testimonies and the stories of the impact the spouses clubs have had throughout the years. Because regardless if it's a new generation or the older generation, the impact in how our lives have changed because the spouses clubs are the same. We just got to make sure that we're sharing those stories with people because every spouse is a story. So please reach out to us and let us know how we can help you. Like I said, I love the clubs and we cannot let them go away. So rely on us. Let us know what we can do to help you. There's a lot that you can do to help us, but I think there's a lot more that we can do to help you at this moment. So rely on us and come and ask to even just to talk to us and pick our brain and say, what do you think? Will this work or not? We are here because we want to help. We are here because we want to make sure that we are part of your community and that we can bring this together to the spouses clubs and in your community. So all that I wanted to say was that don't get discouraged if you're having low participation. Don't think that you're not creating an impact because it's different than what it was 10 years ago. That's okay. It's different. Difference is okay. And this is part of evolving. So just rely on your community, rely on nonprofits. Let us know how we can help you. And we'll make sure that we can do as much as we can to support you.
Yes, Elizabeth, go ahead. You're muted, hon. I wonder if I can do it.
I say she just tries to say it and we try and read her lips.
That's right. Yeah. Sign language. Yeah, something like that. Just like, okay. Yeah, I don't know why she went out. Oh, who knows? Technology. Okay, well, Elizabeth, you can type it in the chat really quick. It's not working. Okay. So I'm just so thankful that we had this opportunity to chat with the four of you guys. I just feel so energized and empowered to go out there and do all great stuff, connecting with you all and connecting spouses clubs and connecting communities and connecting individual spouses together. I think when we all work together, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. I hope that we will be able to connect in the future. We'll be able to connect spouses clubs with you, and it'll be a beautiful, beautiful thing. So thanks so much for your time. I really had a wonderful visit with you all, and I hope to see you again out there in the world. So we appreciate it. Thanks to everyone. Good night.